Well, hello there, and thank you for tuning in to the Shameless Sex Podcast. I'm Amy, sex educator, somatic sex and relationship coach, and sex shop owner.
And I'm April, VP of an international high-end pleasure product company and boss queen sex toy mogul. We're best friends who make our own rules about who we are as sexual beings.
With everything from how to be a badass in the bedroom, to pussy praising, to top tips for bringing your relationship to the next level, we have something just for you.
So sit back, relax,
And enjoy the show.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.
Hey, everyone.
Hello, darlings.
Welcome back to Shameless Sex. This is a part 2 of our last episode on featuring some sex questions that we didn't get to answer all
Do you
of them
think we
because
need
there's
a
so many of them.
jingle?
Why do you think the jingle would be?
Like a shameless sex.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm going to think of a jingle for us.
Maybe someone could make us a jingle.
I want to make a jingle.
Maybe a fan of ours could send us a Shameless Sex jingle.
Can they just, can I get sampled on it though? Because I love singing jingles.
Well, what do you want to say on it?
Shameless sex.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
No, Amy's like, that's a hard no for me.
I mean, I like it, but
not love it. You don't love it.
Yeah.
Damn it.
It's cute though, but I'll take a jingle.
I'll come up with a different one, like, you put the shameless in my sex.
You just like saying sex.
It's true, I do.
Yeah. You're so shameless.
I know. All
Yeah.
the days
Yeah, she's shameless.
and all the nights.
All the nights. Yes, if you have a jingle you want to make for us, please send it our way. Thank you.
Yes, you know, well, I'll send you a free hot octopus toy.
Ooh, for a
And
jingle?
yes, for a jingle. And
So someone actually has like some music. They put it, yeah, it's not just like you don't send us a pre-recorded thing. Like you have to be creative, okay?
and I'll also give you some free Uber lube.
Oh, yeah.
I
Uber
know the
lube,
owners.
too. Yeah, we'll get you just a bottle of the best lube ever.
And I might even throw in a nice bottle of wine, which we're drinking right now.
Whoa, what kind of wine are we drinking?
We're drinking, this is a Pinot Noir
Oh, we love Pinot
from
Noir.
Talbot. And it's 2015 Pinot Noir.
We're feeling like we need a wine sponsor who just send us cases
Yeah,
of wine
so
to drink while we're...
If you're a vintner,
I don't know. You would know better than I. Are you
a
wino?
vintner is the one that grows the grapes.
She knows her wine. She lives
I went on
wine.
a wine tour in Spain when I was just in Spain, and amazing. It was biodynamic, and I just wanted to share this with you because you're such a hippie. You'll love this shit.
Yes.
So it's biodynamic. So they literally have sheep that are a certain height that go and like kill all the weeds naturally, and it's organic. And then they scat, whatever you want to call it, scatter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they fertilize the grapes. And then each full moon, they take these cow horns, they stuff them with crystals that are purified by the moon and stir the compost
This is some
that is
hippie
going
shit, dude.
in to the grapes that are that the wine is
Why
the grapes
cow
being grown.
horns? And we're eating cows here in the
It's some
process?
old way. It's the guy that did all the biodynamic practices. He's a Jewish guy. Oh God, what is his name? Steinfeld. Anyway, this is whole practice. There's a whole system. It's beautiful, but it's from the 50s, biodynamic stuff. So the actual cow horns and compost and quartz is a whole system that they've used since then because of this guy.
Sounds pretty hippie.
It is really hippie.
It's awesome. Sounds
And
awesome.
and they were all about the energy that goes into the wine, and it's all about the energy. And
So how's the wine? Delicious?
amazing. We're not drinking it right now, but it's a Spanish wine. But I do love wine.
Mm-hmm.
My point is that
Send
I
us
love
some
wine.
cases. Yeah. Send us some cases.
What do you like
Yeah.
most about wine? The buzz.
I like the flavors.
I like
love it.
the buzz.
So we're going to answer some sex questions today, and let's just dive right in. Like
Let's dive in. Yeah, there's no
fuss.
need.
Yeah, here we
No
go.
fuss, no and, ifs, or buts.
Boots about
I
it.
still have my anal virginity, but
Oh,
I will tell you this. I'm getting closer and closer to it being gone. I need a butt plug.
I have so many of them.
I know. Can I have
that
one?
I haven't used.
Gently
I'll give
used?
you a new one. Right, so I need to get you a fascinator throw and a
Okay.
butt plug from Pure
I need a
Pleasure.
rubber
Yeah.
sheet and a butt plug. And you
Yeah.
can
Okay.
you actually sit on the edge of my bed and coach me?
Yes. I think I've actually. Let's see. I have taken someone's anal virginity before by,
I know,
by
I remember
inserting
this
a butt
story.
plug in their ass for the first time. And there was definitely a group of people around, and I was really good at it. So if you need me to do
I
that,
might need you, but I got close. I had the JTT, just the tip in there.
how'd it feel?
It hurt.
Did you use a lot of Uber lube?
No, we didn't use like
What?
I know,
You've
dude.
not paid attention to anything that I taught you.
that. It's a whole nother story. We'll talk about it
I need to
later.
talk
But
to your partner about
yep,
this.
I know. I told him it's all about the lube.
The ass does not lubricate itself.
I said that. I use all these tactics. Dude,
You don't need to do tactics. You just start putting lube everywhere.
that's what I said.
No, don't say it. Do it. Put lube everywhere. It's your body.
True. But I didn't have my hands accessible to my drawer where the lube was.
Were your hands tied up?
I don't remember. No. I plead the fifth. No,
That's what it sounds like.
Anyway, I wanted to update you about that. So it's coming. I can feel it. I can feel it
Yeah.
coming in the air.
Come on.
So
Phil
anyway.
Collins. Oh, yeah. The sex scene in the movie Risky Business. That was hot. And the train.
I don't remember
Isn't
that.
that song playing during it? No, there's another Phil Collins.
In general, that song plays in The Hangover when they're at Mike Tyson's house and they break in.
Oh, God.
And he's listening to it and he's like air drumming. Anyway,
yeah.
Tangent. We should call our show Tan.
No, that's already that's Chris Ryan's. It's Tangentially Speaking.
Oh, okay, good. There we go.
Yeah, it's already done.
I was going to
That's why
say
we- that's why
spin
we-
off that.
That's
but
why we're
then-
going to go on his podcast.
Yeah, we are. Because we're really good at tangents. Anyway,
All right,
you
sex
want to start?
questions. Let's do it.
So we just, in case you missed the other episode, this is a continuation where we answered one question because we had a
lot.
bunch, and Amy and I had
We
really
love them. We love them.
We love them so much. It just takes us some time. So we do encourage you, if you have sex questions, please write us in. We'll do our very best to answer them in as timely manner as we can kind of muster, because Amy and I are very busy. We're on the road all the time, and we rarely get time together to kind of go through our emails and check them out. So
And we'll keep your names anonymous and all that too.
your anonymity will be protected. And just in case you don't know and you want to write a question, it's shamelesssexpodcast@gmail.com. And you can also go onto our website. It's shamelesssex.com. And there's a question section that you can answer, and you can send in from our web platform. Did I talk really fast there?
Just now you did. It's so funny. We'll be places and one of us will talk and the other people that don't know us will ask, what did they say?
What did
and
they
then
say?
the other April will know exactly what I said when I talk really fast.
Yep.
And I'll know exactly what she said. We're like identical twins from the womb who speak each other's secret language.
It's true. And the other day you've been gone for like 3 weeks, but I was doing something and who was over? Someone's like, that was like such an Amy move. I'm like, we have a lot of the same tendencies. So I was like, I don't know. I did something like super Amy, and they're like, you guys are funny. You're like sisters.
We're
Twinkies from the same womb. Actually, I do call Amy's mom because she's like a second mom to me.
Well, we are pretty convinced that we were like some sort of wild, amazing empresses from past lives ruling the lands.
Right.
Yeah.
And seriously, like we had this intergalactic moment one time. And we were
under
like,
the stars.
under the stars.
Mm.
And we were like, we're sisters.
Yeah.
Hold me.
We were ruling the world.
We are.
With
One
love.
dildo at a time.
One big dildo.
One big giant dildo. Were we going to read
Covered
a
in
question?
uber lube for anal.
Oh, yes.
But
Covered
not
in
silicone dildo.
No.
Okay, anyways.
Okay.
Questions.
You go first.
Tangentially speaking. Okay, me first. All right, so M asks, we're just using the first initial for some of them, definitely not the name for any of them. So M asks, already messed it up. I've had multiple partners, and I'm not ashamed of being with them and getting right in the sack. There's this new guy, though, whom I work with, and this isn't the first time I've gone with someone that I work with. But there's just something different about him that I don't want to take my pants off right away. Don't get me wrong, I would love to get right into it, but I think because he's the first actual dom I've been with, I'm a little scared that I'll enjoy the sex too much. I love the thought of being with a dom and submitting myself to him, but I don't want to do it because maybe it'll ruin the friendship that we have at work together. What should I do? Well, I mean, there's two different things here. There's the you have some. What do you want to say? I know what you got. I know you have an opinion.
You go first.
Okay. All right. You should give me a look like shit a thing. So we have two different ththings. One, there's the dynamic at work that could get a little messy, and then there's a separate thing of there's a fear there that you are scared that you will enjoy it too much. I'm already like, don't be fucking scared to enjoy something too much.
That definitely, but the work.
Yeah, I want to go to the work thing first. Do the work thing. Yeah, do it.
Just
I know,
speaking from total experience in keep work and sex specifically separate if you can in any ways, because
as much as possible.
in my experience, and sadly enough, women in general, we struggle, especially if we're in like a work situation that's professional and dynamic. And even if you're not a professional stance, you already do sometimes come across, the judgments. I read this amazing book, by the way, that deals with this called Lean In. And it's written by the woman, actually, that's the COO for Facebook. And she talks about how automatically you assume, oh, she, like as a woman, and this is all based on, and it's not me just making assumptions, it's based on fact. But she says, like, automatically, as a woman, you have a lot going against you, and they're like, oh, is she going to fuck her way to the top, or sleeping with coworkers, or men and women can't be friends at work because it's like this whole thing. If you're a person in general that wants to kind of begin to change the consistent thinking, you should check out that book if you'd like to.
So specifically, the stigma against women.
It's not. It's just about how to overcome. It's for men and women, but how in society we lay these kind of power ideas about what a powerful person looks like in the workplace, and they typically are male gendered, but also we kind of shame men for being stay-at-home dads as a society. There's no support groups for men that choose to be stay-at-home fathers for their children, just as there are women when they have babies get this like, oh, they won't take a promotion because they're pregnant.
This is just social norms and stigmas,
right? Yeah. So I'm getting off on a tangent, I'm sorry. The principle of the matter is, in general, as a female-bodied individual, you have there's some ideas like surrounding women in the workplace as it is. So I'd highly recommend, for your own sake, unless you truly love this person and want to like be in this, relationship with them and talk about it openly with your, with the powers that be, if it's just sex, I'd hold off, because it's just going to complicate things, in my opinion, in my experience.
I mean, for me, my personal opinion would be, fuck all the shame that anyone gives you about what you're going to do, whether you're a woman or a man or however you identify. Just because you might get a reputation because people are conformist assholes that, buy into the whole belief of who you should be, and they want to make a judgment against you. I don't think that that's a reason to not make choices that your heart desires. But what I do agree with is the workplace it can get really messy. It can just get, what is the don't dip your pen in the company ink?
That's what I always say. Yeah. I always say that.
Don't dip or don't shit where you eat.
Don't shit where you eat. And that's, dude,
it can just get really messy.
I've been there, and it gets messy, and especially, let's say best case scenario, both of you can communicate, you have sex, it's cool, and then it ends, it's like this, and it's cool. Like you both have this agreement that, okay, that was fun. I got dominated. He's awesome. Or the person, I think, male-bodied person, is awesome, dominating, loved it, super fun.
Use the word he. Yeah.
So with that being said, that's cool. That's the best case scenario. I don't know how frequently that can really happen, because humans are humans. We have feelings. Sometimes one more person's more emotionally invested, and it just can get messy, as you said. Yeah. And so, I mean, you can go off on a million different, scenarios of what could happen, but in my experience, I wouldn't recommend that.
And on that note, actually, this person that sent this did say they actually have slept with people at work before, and so it doesn't sound like all hell broke loose. Okay, so it's all good. So
that's cool then.
So I would say, my advice would be, if you're going to sleep with someone at work, to have a conversation with them beforehand. Like, what are our intentions here, and like, how can we not get weird after? Maybe go listen to Reed's casual sex episode, because he has a lot of good conversation protocol for those conversations about casual sex, if that's what your intention is. It never hurts to talk about the sex you're going to have before you have it. What happens after? What is our relationship going to be like? How can we not be uncomfortable with each other? How can we still respect each other? Are we allowed to tell anyone? So have these conversations before, if it is something that you're going to do. And then if you choose to do it, then respect whatever agreements that you just made with that person. And then the piece that was stated about the fear of the dom, because you're worried that you'll enjoy it too much. My personal opinion is enjoy away. Making choices out of fear, in my opinion, is what gets us stuck. It really holds us back from experiencing the expansiveness and all the yumminess that is available to you. So maybe your fear is, there's more fear there. Like, maybe look beyond that. Is the fear that you'll enjoy it too much? Is there more there? Is there fear of I don't know, rejection of you'll be too into them and they won't be too into you, and you might actually not get all that you want, that it'll be a one-time thing, but you'll be so into it and they won't want to sleep with you again or whatever it is. And really approach it from that space, but not from I'm not going to do something because I'm scared that I'm going to like it too much. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think especially if you phrased it like that, because obviously you're into it.
Yeah.
Like just by phrasing, but just by saying that, your instinct is to assume or believe that you're going to like it too much. So I'd say check it out.
And have that conversation.
Yeah.
And this applies to like with what Reed says, all casual sex, whether it's in the workplace or not. How can we talk about things and negotiate beforehand so that things aren't messy later on, and not just make all these assumptions?
And that's
of what it,
right. And that's the messy part that comes up
stories
that you want to avoid. And I feel like you can be a really good communicator. You just have to make sure the other person's on the same page.
Yeah.
So even if you are an exceptional person of, integrity, just do things out of integrity too. And remember that. Keep your integrity.
Yeah.
So if it's something that is out of integrity, maybe reevaluate and maybe, save it for outside the workplace.
Yeah. And integrity is integrity with your word would be whatever you agree to or commit to, you follow through with that. And that's what we mean by integrity. What question do you have? I know you got some over there.
I have some. This one's really, it's a great question. Subject is open relationship trauma. So I was with a partner for 2 years, in which probably 2/3 of it was in an open relationship, which involved a significant amount of deceit, cheating, and other very traumatic and hurtful behavior by my partner. After a time apart, we have reconnected and are now in an exclusive monogamous relationship. I am not innocent in our situation, but he seems to have dealt with his side of things and is ready to move forward in building a future together. Because our past is so full of hurt and lacks so much trust, I have so many triggers and insecurities. I have no idea how to move forward with this person I love so very much. Any help would be so greatly appreciated. And yeah, that's the question. And I actually don't have the first letter of this person's name. I just have the subject, but
We'll give them A for awesome.
A for awesome. Great question though, because I actually suffer from that in my situation, and not because of deceit and cheating on my partner's end that I was with prior to my current relationship, but because of my own, which is
of things that you've done,
things that I did that were not out of integrity, as we just said, things that I had an affair, as I've mentioned in the beginning of my podcast, outing my shame, which has been really healing for me. But from there, I was always as you've known me for a long time now and through several different relationships, a pretty secure human. Like I like myself. So for me, I believe that, and Amy's going to have recommendations, but I can feel like it was hard for me to move forward in a new relationship based on my own insecurities about what I had done to my partner before. So stuff would come up like, is he cheating? If I could do that, anybody's capable of that, because I was so secure in my relationship. And then I went outside of my promise to be a monogamous human to my partner, and I cheated and had this affair. And so from that has sprung a lot of deep internal things that I have had to process and go through. And it's been a journey for me, but it's been really powerful. And I encourage you to, as Amy will probably talk about, use some of the tools that that I've done, a lot of self-work to kind of get, as I continue to do
healing with yourself.
Yes. And so I can kind of be like, hey, what am I really stressing on? Okay. And if you're choosing to move forward with this person, you have, in my opinion, it's best, and it's going to come and go, but it's best to be like, okay, I, obviously maybe not going to fully trust you all the time because things come up, but I'm going to do my best to talk to you about the stuff that comes up for me. And that's what I've been trying to do. And it's hard. So,
what do they say? It's, that the things that we judge in other people are usually what we're judging in ourselves.
Yep.
So, if you're judging someone else, like, oh my God, I can't believe, or even probably with trust too, I'm not trusting this person because they're reminding me of something I don't like in myself. Or,
right. 100%. You nailed it.
And maybe, so let's pretend that this person that sent this to us has never cheated on their partner and actually doesn't have any of that stuff, because we don't really know. So perhaps this person that sent this to us, it's only been on that other end where the other person was the only one that lied, and there was a lot of deceit and cheating or whatever. Trauma. It's trauma that happened. And so what I'm hearing is that you were together, it was open, there was trauma that happened, and now this person wants to be with you. Are they stating they want to be with them monogamously? Then?
Yeah, that's what they said. They said basically that they had all of the trauma and they went through it, but now they're choosing both of them to be in a monogamous relationship.
Yes. All right. So I can resonate with this because I've been in some very similar circumstances. If you listen to the last podcast and we answered a question, open relationships and poly, and I talked about how I've dabbled with open and poly, and the open for a while was actually, I thought, successful, but actually it really never was because my partner was not being honest with me. But I thought it was going really well. We spent hours negotiating, and I was like so good about being within boundaries. I was like so proud of it, and then I found out that they weren't practicing with me, which it really takes. So what happened with me was very similar, where we had, played around with these things. And I actually, at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure I'm more capable of open than my partner is. I have the ability to connect with a lot of people and to love it.
And you're an exceptional communicator. You really are.
And so is my partner. But I'm more open and just I don't want to say more than him. I won't speak for him. I will say that I do have the capacity for it, and it's exhausting to me. And be in my own relationship with myself can be exhausting, and my own relationship with just one other person can be exhausting. So I actually just don't want to deal with it. And I'm really, really loving just being with my partner. I absolutely adore them, and I want to put all of my work into that relationship because it's so special and it's constantly growing and unfolding. So anyways, that's another tangent. Apparently this is the tangent episode. But what I will say is there was a lot of trauma that happened, a lot of lying, a lot of hurt, a lot of deceit, a lot of feelings of not being chosen, not being important, not being valued, not being special, being manipulated.
Feeling this way. You felt
these feelings. These are feelings
right?
that I had, right? That all, traumas that came up. And even though a lot of this stuff happened, and there was a big gap in our relationship where we actually had to separate for a while with no contact at all. He did come back and say, similar to what this person's experiencing, that he wants to fully choose this and choose me. So that we talked about this on the last episode. That's really big. I choose you.
I don't think we did. I think
here.
you and I talked about it.
We did. We talked about choose. We very briefly in the last episode. We said it's a choice. It's an option to be with each other. And
sometimes we talk about things outside of it, and I'm like, did we record that?
I think we did. Well,
I don't think
whatever,
so.
We're doing it now.
I know now we are.
Yeah.
So yes, but sorry, I think that we might have not recorded it.
So I mean, that's huge for someone to choose you and to also. But the next step that he also proposed was, I fully choose this. I have no doubts about you. I've doubted everyone in my past because I've been fearful, but I want to fully commit to this. And that was everything I'd wanted to hear for 4 years. Right. And even though there's all this trauma, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm in. I'm madly in love with this person. And we still have so much that I want to build. And that's a risk right there because we had all this stuff. But while I do believe he's been doing a lot of work to get to where he is. And one important thing for me, and that I would say to this person that we're speaking to, is that I personally don't believe that someone can just come back like, I'm changed and that's it. I'm good. I'm ready. I'm all in. That I would personally want to see that person continue to do the work. I'd want to see them going to see a therapist or a life coach or be in a men's group or a women's group or all of the above to constantly show you and to themselves that they're working on themselves, because no one is just like perfectly healed all of a sudden. It's just like we're always working. And I think also that work would give you some reassurance. And aside from that, there's that piece, which is what I'm seeing with my partner. They're doing so much work on themselves. And in fact, they're teaching me how to be in integrity these days. And they're blowing my mind about it. And for you two together, yeah, trust has been broken and you be triggered. And as you recommit to this relationship, your partner, I would advise them to be on board for supporting you when you get triggered, to not, because they're signing up for that. some shit happened that was created, sounds like based on some choices that they made, and they're choosing to be with you. So they're also choosing to support you through your hurt. And your hurt's going to come up and you need a space to vocalize it. We've talked a lot about how to vocalize hurt lovingly, and that's going to be really important for you to use in those moments and for your partner to use in receiving you. And don't do it alone. Go find an epic therapist or a sex and relationship coach.
Neutral party.
Yeah, neutral party. I just talked about someone, that guy, Shems Hartwell, whose work does really great work with men and couples. I work with people too. If you have a whole bunch of stuff that it makes it so triggers come up and communication is hard, get support and don't try to do it all on your own. And really just out the hurt when it comes up. When you're triggered, it needs space to be shared, because if you hide it, it's just going to build in you, and it doesn't reaffirm that your heart and your space is worthy of space, right? You need to go through it and need to bring it to the table. So that's a lot of needs, but it's true. So
you know what they say, behind every great human, there's a great therapist.
Yes, and then every therapist has a therapist.
I know.
Therapist.
I actually had a therapist for a while, and then I just like, life happens, and I'm like, wait, it's been like a month, 2 months, 3 months. I'm like, wait a second. So it's always just good for just to process with somebody that's neutral and just can give you more tools that it's not like, oh, and
I'm
I feel
broken.
Like, well, and I grew up in the Midwest, and we've talked about this, and it's like, the like feelings of weakness, like it was always related to weakness. And I despise that mentality now. When people say that, I'm like, no, actually it's really healthy to have somebody to talk to about your, like, because you're not alone. So it's never asking for help is not weak. It's actually, in my mind, like is amazing to me. I'm like, wow, that person really cares about themselves.
Yeah.
And it's brave and it's courageous. And
this goes hand in hand with what we were talking about. I think that was last episode. Now I'm getting confused.
I
But
know.
about how we were living in community before, and now we're living, the whole sex at dawn thing.
Oh, yes.
Like, we were always designed to be living in community and supported by each other.
Maybe you're right. Maybe we did talk about that.
We've
I don't
been
know.
talking a lot.
I know.
Yeah.
We have.
But it's not, so we weren't designed to go and like crawl in our dark hole and be in pain alone.
That's why in prison, where's the worst place you can possibly is like solitary confinement, because we need other humans.
Especially
we do.
when we're going through hard things. When we have heavies, then and part of that is we're conditioned to think that our heavies aren't worth space, and we don't want to be too emotional or blah, 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 blah. But it needs space. And when you're with a partner who has been a part of those heavies, it is also important for them to fully sign on to support you in that. And they'll probably be triggered too. If your heavies keep coming up, this happens to me. It's like, just like when we think we're done with some of the old trauma that happened a year ago, a trigger will happen and we're like, oh yeah, we're still working on this.
Be easy on yourself. Yeah. I'm so hard on myself all the time. And I remember, I'm like, I am imperfectly perfect. Mm-hmm. I'm always going to be that way. There's no such thing as perfect, and I'm like an exceptional perfectionist, and I pride myself on writing perfect grammatical emails, and if I can't do something like with 100%, I like can't fucking sleep at night. So but I realized like it's okay to go back and reevaluate yourself and look like and like be like, okay, this is coming up for me again, even though it's like, thought we were through this. And that's happened to me in my current relationship, where it's like, I thought we were through this, and I'm like, I did too, but now I realize that I'm not. Yeah. And I need to talk about it. And I just I want you to know. Mm-hmm. And sometimes and believe me, like for me and I don't know, like it seems like a lot of our listeners are awesome, like with like wanting to do the self-work. For me, it took time, and there was so much shame for me and like asking for help and crying and getting in touch with the stuff. But it's hard, but the breakthroughs after you have them are so fucking amazing.
Well, and the connection that you get.
And the connection and it's hard for me to like feel like safe sometimes to talk about my shit, because how I grew up, how I was raised, it was like, don't cry, don't be a little bitch, basically, and it's like the opposite of now how I'm living. And thank God that like at some point, like thank goddesses.
Thank gato
Thank the gato universe that I had access to this. My brain thought outside of my wounding, because I could have been like Wisconsin and I don't know, making the casseroles.
I love your accent when you do that.
I made a casserole for Thanksgiving.
What was it?
It was amazing.
You sound like so special.
I got casserole.
Yeah.
Do you know what they call a casserole in Minnesota?
What?
Hot dish.
I thought it was gonna be a joke.
No, it's not. That's what they call it.
Is that where they call soda pop?
Yep.
Yeah,
It's a
shout out
land
to
of
the
the pop.
Midwest, yo.
So
All right.
I like how it just got really deep, and then I went
Then-
into that's me doing my runaway tactics. By the way, that's what I do. I'm like, oh, am I starting to get deep? I'm starting to want to
Now I
cry.
need to
Hey,
crack a
guess
joke.
what? I have a joke.
And just kidding, I'm funny. What one saggy boob say? The other saggy boob.
Perk up, we think we're nuts.
All right, next
I should
question.
let you do that.
No, it's good. That's fine. I like it. All right, next question. Anyways, I stole that joke from you. Okay, here we go.
You didn't
Tangents,
steal.
tangents. D asks, can you discuss on the show the consequences and permanence of some of the stretching on body orifices? Would you also speak on piercings, their purpose, and physical benefits, if any other than adornment? This was a part of an email with a person asking about butt plugs and things. So I want to start this with, if you're doing something that you know sexually and you can feel what's going on, so you're not using any numbing things or whatever, and you don't feel pain, most likely it's not going to hurt your body. If you do something where you feel pain, stop what you're doing, unless it's that consensual pain, like I want you to spank my ass and it hurts, but I'm into it. But like, so say for butt plugs, right? If you're doing some sort of anal insertion, you feel pain, it should never ever hurt, because the pain is where the problem comes in. There can be tearing, stretching, whatever. And that's why we don't recommend numbing things for those things. So, so stretching of, permanent stretching, the consequences, you can put a whole fist in someone's ass and it's not going to stretch out the asshole permanently. It goes back to what it once was. It just opens and closes, just like when, a woman has a baby, the body closes again, and maybe the muscles have changed from all the contractions and birthing a big set of shoulders out of there.
I didn't know where you were going with that. A big set of
I mean, that's the head thickest part. It's not the head, it's the shoulders.
I thought the
right?
head were,
Is
no,
it the head or the shoulders?
The head.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
No, the head, because the babies. Look, I'm no OBGYN, but like from what I've seen birthing videos and things, the head's
always
the
the head.
biggest thing.
So
That's why they dilate to that certain.
So once you get through the head, smooth sailing.
Maybe my shoulders are really big because I got big old
I think I
shoulders.
just said that because looking at you, I mean, yeah, your shoulders.
I'm a 36 bust, yo.
They would be hard to birth. She's ripped. She's been working out a lot. So anyways, tangents. All right. So stretching, the body can stretch a lot. Orifices, the ass, the pussy, it can stretch a lot. And as long as there is not pain involved, no tearing, it will go back to whatever
and
it was.
slow but steady wins the race with this whole game.
Yeah, like when I talk about putting a fist in someone's ass, it usually takes a lot of lube, a lot of breathing, and maybe like an hour to get that whole thing in. It's
totally. And people, I think, aren't aware of that. They just like assume all of these. They make
like horror
assumptions.
stories, yeah.
They're like, oh, but it's definitely, it will go back. But they're also, there's like this whole, that rosebud. Have you, like the one that the anus is a rosebud thing from porn stars? Have you heard of this?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Porn stars get the rosebud thing.
Oh,
where
it changes the kind of comes the anal tissues kind of.
Yes,
yeah.
but that is from
that's a lot of
like penetration,
and the way that they're having sex in anal porn is heavy pounding.
Right. So I think that's when that stuff can happen.
Which isn't what assholes like anyways. Right. It's just don't learn from porn.
No, but I'm bringing that up because that could be that's.
I hear you. Yeah,
I had some freak out because I saw that on porn and I was like, I don't want that to happen to my bum, and then realizing that that's atypical. That happens because of the heavy pounding.
Porn
in the
is
ass.
not your sex educator. At the end of the day, what it comes down to is, as long as you're listening to your body and your body says, I'm not feeling pain, you're probably all good. Discomfort's a little different. When you're working with a muscle, especially when it comes to anal, you have to relax the muscle. You can feel discomfort, but if there's pain, stop what you're doing, slow down, add more lube. So this applies to all the orifices in regards to what you're doing. Piercings. So would you also speak to piercings, their purpose and physical? But you had sex with the piercing once. I've never had sex with the piercing.
Prince Albert.
Yeah,
piercing.
And so
not Prince Albert of England, but
so that was what was
piercing.
the Prince Albert again?
So that's through. So I actually asked him, this guy, Scotland. We'll call him Scotland. Freedom. How that worked. So they take like an apple core and they stick it in the, like, it looks like it's smaller than an apple core, but like they stick it in the urethra.
Wait, what? How does it open that much?
A
full apple core?
No, looks like an apple.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
mini apple core looking thing, but it's like almost like a wine opener kind of thing.
Oh,
And they literally
shit,
grind it
son.
out, and then they clip it. And he was uncircumcised, but so it like they pull back, pull back the skin, and then it goes through the urethra, and then through the top, through where the frenulum is, the bottom.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting. The only thing I will say with the piercings, having sex with a piercing, pierced penis, is that it does break condoms. So you have to be really careful,
Yeah.
especially if you're having sex with somebody and you're not fluid bonded with them and you're choosing to use condoms. Just be aware that piercing could cause. It feels really great though.
For you receiving?
For receiving.
Yeah.
It felt great, but it did break a condom, which freaked me out. But that was my only complaint. So then he took it out. So we had sex with it a few times, and it was really cool because it felt definitely like you could feel it on the G spot, like as you're thrusting, from what I remember. Granted,
a little while ago.
yeah, and I had my period too, so I was extra sensitive when we were having
Red
sex.
Wings. Scotland
Yeah.
Red Wings. I remember this.
Scotland got those Red Wings. So, maybe it was extra sensitive at that point because I know that it was period sex. But I will say it did feel pretty awesome. That was a vacation hookup, and it wasn't a regular thing. So, as far as sex with piercings go, I've had friends with clitoral piercings that absolutely said it just changed the whole game of like extra sensitivity. It just heightens.
Well, and it kind of lifts the hood, right? If you get because it's the hood that gets pierced, and so it kind of pulls it up a little bit
and
more.
it creates the extra blood flow, which can be really interesting.
And they can be easily irritated, though. Like my friend that got a clit piercing, that thing did not want to heal for the life of them. I'm pretty sure you can't have sex for a while because it's just adding bacteria to an area that needs to be.
I'm actually not sure about the recovery time for that, but I don't know. She swore by it. She loved it.
Yeah.
And she'd show anybody that wanted to see, like in a bar.
Of course, yeah.
I'm
Here's
like,
my clit.
all right, I like it.
That's what my friend did.
Yeah, I think it's like part of the process.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look at what I just
Want to
got.
see my clit?
I've had friends with nipple piercings too that like my old colleague had his nipples pierced, and he always said that really did just like kind of
It's more sensitivity.
yeah, just changed the like he loved when his nipples were licked, pierced versus unpierced.
Yeah, and you know what you can also do because of the metal sticking out. You can take other things like a vibrator to it, you know, or like even some people take the neon wand with the little electrodes.
Oh yeah,
so those things is pretty intense, and you can do that just on the skin too. But people will play with the piercings in terms of adding other sensations to it from other tools.
I think that the person Scotland also said that he felt like, because I asked him what his sensation was, and he felt like I think because of the position that it's at, he just got the frenulum stimulation, so it made the blood flow again more sensitivity. It engages more of the nerve endings that are in the head of the penis. So
yeah.
was the question about like if they should get a piercing?
No, they said just asking us to speak on piercings, their purpose, physical benefits.
So I was thinking about like the fetish piercing. Like in my head, when you had read that question, I was thinking about
piercing play.
Yes, that's what I was looking at it as.
I don't think that's that, and I wouldn't be able to really speak on that. Would
Me
you?
neither, but that's where I was going. I was like, I have nothing to contribute. And then when you asked me, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I do. The dick piercing.
Well,
but
and I don't think that's what they're speaking to, but there is in the fetish and kink world, right? There's a piercing play where there's people are either being pierced. Like I've actually seen this live where someone who really knows what they're doing, this woman Cleo Dubois, and I believe her partner is like world-renowned piercer. I forgot his name. It's like Fakir, I think. And I've seen her do piercing play in a workshop where she'll take very well sterilized needles, and she knows how to work with them, and she will pierce people's skin, you know, consensually as part of this show. And this person that's being pierced loves the sensation of it, and they've even like pierced a corset in their skin, so the lacing
I saw that
goes.
picture of that. That was insane.
Yeah, there's in this. So and for some of you that are like, oh my god, that sounds crazy. You know, some
Might not be
people
for you, right.
enjoy it. It's the sensation. It's maybe there's like some power play in there, and it's done in a consensual, very safe way by these people. She definitely knows what she's doing, and the people that are receiving it are loving it.
And that's the beauty of it. It's all consensual, awesome. Like people are like, yes.
Yeah.
So cool. That was a good question.
What you got, Chip? You got one?
I got another one. Okay. This is going out on a limb. So growing up in a religious household has stunted me in some ways, a lot of which I have dealt with. The one thing that has been the most difficult, however, is the feeling that I am a poor opener. Even when I have been in relationships, knowing that the person I am with wants to have sex with me, finding a way to confidently ask or suggest we have sex has always been an awkward and challenging thing to initiate. I do feel turned on when I am the one who is pursued, and yes, I can do a better job of communication in that aspect. I do know that there are women who would rather have me be the one to initiate, though. I know it was a convoluted way to say it, but what's a guy to do if he has a hard time going out on a limb? That's from R.
Thanks, R.
So, yes. And Amy, I know you've tried to help me because I was telling you when we were going over these questions that I have initiation challenges myself. So I was going to love to hear some of your suggestions. I tend to, because of previous experiences, I never had to initiate sex in prior relationships. And it was always like on me. It just, presented like I had.
And you never had partners that asked you to initiate? They never said, I really wish you'd
No,
initiate sometime?
Never.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing.
Now I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I'm kind of a nerdy kind of girl, like, I'm like, what do I do? Like, I start making jokes because I get scared. So I'll be like, oh, your dick wants me.
So
right.
It's not sexy.
There's nothing sexy about it. And then I'm like, this is awkward. I feel awkward.
Well, I think, first of all, we're overanalyzing. And actually, I will say too, with the person, this person that sent in this question and with you, I'm very similar. Because I identify as more of like a submissive, I get really turned on by being pursued, in fact, like approached and dominated and told what to do. So and a lot of times what's happening for me is, my partner has a whole bunch of testosterone, so they're feeling sex drive more often than I am. So at the end of the day, they're feeling the sex drive, and mine is kind of like really turned on by them giving me their sexual energy and instigating it. Yeah, and I did some work on this, but as I say that, my partner still really wants it's me to initiate sometimes. Not all the time. They're totally cool with doing it like 80% of the time, but they still want to feel that sometimes. They want to feel wanted and desired. And actually, I had a past partner that really wanted that too. And I remember meeting with Charlie Glickman and asking that, I identify as a sub. How does a sub initiate? It just doesn't seem to really make sense. And maybe you don't identify as a sub, but how does someone who's usually getting turned on by having someone else initiate or isn't always confident in initiating, what do they do? So what Charlie said was that subs and people that are fearful of rejection and anyone can initiate. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, and there's a couple different tools for initiating. Number one, we're overthinking things. We're thinking that we need to say all the right things and the perfect things and have the sexy talk and, oh baby, I just want to suck your dick right now, however you want to do it. We can initiate, if the words are scary, you can initiate without talking. You can just start touching. And I actually did this the other day with my partner, and he loved it. He was just laying on this, when we were in Hawaii, he was laying on this couch thing, reading. And it had decided in my head, I actually wasn't even particularly horny. I was just like, I'm going to initiate because I want to connect with him. And I know that I'll get really aroused because he always, gets my motor going pretty quickly. But I'm going to initiate. So what I did was, as he's reading, he's kind of laying down, I just straddled my legs over him and then took my hand under the bottom of his shirt and just started slowly gliding up his shirt, up his chest, and then made his way up his neck and just started touching him. And then he just set the book down and, then we started making out and I initiated. And he loved it. He's like, that felt so good to receive that from you. So if the conversation is scary, you can just start touching, and vice versa. If the touching is scary, then you can start talking and start saying, like, I just want to rip your clothes off right now. Or, and this is one of the other cool things that Charlie taught me is that So even subs, right? Subs are kind of waiting for someone else to take them, but subs can actually initiate by offering themselves to be taken. So say I knock on my partner's door and I'm just wearing like some sort of trench coat, it's like that like silly cliche fantasy, completely naked underneath. And they open the door and I just open up the trench coat and I don't even have to say anything. I just initiated, but just offered myself and now they take me. I can show up in a sexy little schoolgirl outfit and just bend over and then I maybe say I've been a bad girl, whatever, and then they can take me. And so initiation is so simple. It's the first person that says, hey, do you want to play? Right? Like, and you don't even have to do it by saying it. It can just be a gesture. It can be a touch. It can be emotion. Now that's one part. It's a matter of seconds of just letting someone know I want you right now, or I'm here to be taken by you right now. It can go both ways. Now, when people are fearful of rejection, so there's the fear of if I offer myself, I might be turned down. And I think that at the end of the day, everyone goes through that at different times. I definitely have moments where that comes into play. And I would suggest, if it's possible, to learn how to get as comfortable as you possibly can be with rejection. And if you get rejected by a partner in a way that feels shaming, to have a healthy conversation with them that teaches them and gets to a point where you get to convey your hurt so that they know how to speak to you, to let you know, hey, I'm not really wanting to have sex right now, in a way that's loving and not shaming. Because not everyone's going to be on the same page, right? So I can go get all naked in this cute little outfit and bend myself over my partner, and they're reading and they can be like, oh, you're cute, but I really just want to keep reading. And I can interpret that in 5 million ways. I could be like, oh my God, they don't like my body. They don't think I'm sexy right now. I'm never doing this again. I just got rejected. I just put in this really cute outfit for them. I'm never doing. And then I go and shame myself. That's my doing.
Creating the stories.
Lots of stories. But instead, I can look at them and say, okay, I see that you want to read, and I'm actually going through a little hurt right now, and so I'm going to go and take care of myself right now. Like I just want to be transparent that there's a little hurt right now, and I want to respect you because you get to choose what you do with your body, and you want to read, then I totally respect that, and I'm just feeling a little hurt right now, and I just want to be transparent about that. And then you two probably go in processing at some point. Maybe not then. Maybe it's like, okay, well, let's talk about that a little later, or in this moment, or maybe you don't feel that you're able to tell yourself, all right, yeah, they just want to read. It's not me, it's them. They want to read, and it's all good. So the more we can get over the rejection, the easier it's going to be, or have room for it to take risks. And when it comes to the world of dating, this is one thing that I think is really useful too, is to get comfortable with rejection there. So if you're your poor opener, just like you meet someone out and about in public, and you want to let them know that you're interested, first of all, you're taking a risk. And so a lot of people don't even make that initial move because they're afraid of rejection, right? So to get comfortable with rejection, I've actually given people this homework, single people. Go out and purposely hit on someone that you know is going to reject you, with the intention of, I know I'm going to get rejected. And when they say, hopefully they're nice about it, but when they say, no, thank you, or I have a partner or whatever, hopefully they're not an asshole about it, say thank you to them. Thank you.
I remember when you were single and I was in a relationship, and you were talking to me about just totally putting yourself out there regularly with people that you were like, just had hit up on Facebook or something, like, hey, I like your dog or whatever.
Yeah. I in person, when I would say to people, if I was out and about somewhere and there's someone that I was attracted to, I would just go up to them and say, like, I think you're really cute, or whatever. And sometimes I don't want to hear cute. You're really hot. What's going on? Whatever it is, whatever you want to say. I let them know.
I like your pickle. That's my pickup line. Hey, I like your pickle.
Oh, gosh. She's still learning. That's good.
That's not a good one. That's not working for you.
I mean, I would laugh, and then maybe that would be a good opener. Because then if you said it to someone who doesn't have a sense of humor,
I don't want to be with them anyway. So I'd be like, thanks.
Or maybe they're
weeding
like,
him out.
She wants to suck my dick.
She wants to suck my pickle.
My pickle.
But meanwhile, he is eating a big giant dill.
That's good. You're funny today, Chip. This is like the tangent comedy show over here. Oh god.
Yeah.
All right. Good point though. Yeah. So homework. Go and first of all, taking risks. So, and this is the other thing I do when I hit on people or flirt with people, or even when I go on a date with someone and it seems like they like me and then they ghost me. You know, like later they just disappear and they're not into me. It still hurts.
I thought you were just in the bathroom.
He never came back.
Yeah. And he ordered the prime fucking rib.
I'm stuck with the bill. Okay, not that. I've never had that happen. But, you know, even in those circumstances, I still feel the hurt, and deep down, what I tell myself is like, well, all right, I'm not for everyone.
And it's totally not meant to be. Not meant to be. Not a big deal.
It doesn't mean anything about my word. I'm not for everyone. I am fucking sexy as fuck.
Yeah.
And I'm not for everyone.
And that's where the self-love comes in. Remember, to R that wrote out going out on a limb, this email starts with yourself. Like, look in the mirror, do that power pose, know that you are awesome, and rejection happens. And every time you feel like you need to pick yourself back up, just go and give yourself some self-love. Do the work that's going to help you feel okay. At first, it's gonna feel hard,
you're gonna feel your hurt, but reminding yourself that it's not about you. And what is Charlie Glickman says that rejection isn't a rejection of you; it's a declined opportunity. Mm-hmm. So they're not, because they don't know who the fuck you are. You
might be like, not right now, but maybe later.
Well, and if like, let's talk about two strangers and someone's like, hey, I think you're really beautiful. Do you want to go on a date sometime? And the person says no. And they're like, oh, they rejected me. They don't know who you are.
Right.
They didn't reject who you really are. They don't know your inner workings. They rejected this opportunity in the moment of whatever their brain decided who you are, which isn't even accurate. So it isn't really a rejection of you, your true you.
There's the beauty about living in this day and age, which I said before, and I'll say again, which I haven't explored, but you can also have like the apps that help you find people if you're feeling
Tinder.
Like if you're out and you're not feeling like okay, then you can sort of organically or non-organically, I guess that is, go into this knowing that you already have a match with this person on whatever level it is, whether it's personality orientation, because don't they have websites that do that?
The web-based ones are better at doing that because there's so much more information you can put in them. Right. Whereas like Tinder and Bumble are literally like some photos and statements.
So based on first like the your pictures or whatever.
Yeah. But that can just be an opener of conversation, right? So you see that, you start having a conversation, and then from there, as you get to know people, then you decide if you want to continue meet. But
that's another way that maybe like if you're feeling like you are apprehensive about putting yourself out there in a public place openly face to face, you could do it with the websites that are online sites that are available. I mean, I have a lot of friends that have success with that. A lot of them.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And just take risks. Like, learn to be comfortable with rejection. Remember that it's not about you as a being. Like, they don't, even someone who actually really knows you, they still don't really know everything about you. And so it's not a full rejection of your inner being.
I'll tell you, like, from a personal standpoint, from someone that hasn't put myself out there, as much as a lot, like as much as you have, which is commendable to me, Amy, that you have put yourself out there so much. But the pursuants that have pursued me in the past, being like really confident has been a huge turn on, where I'm like, damn.
Confidence is very important, but not now. There is such thing as too much confidence, right?
Yes.
And actually, I wouldn't call it too much confidence. I call it when confidence turns into arrogance and cockiness,
right? Which
is usually coming actually out of insecurity,
right?
So, but when someone's trying to compensate for some other stuff by being like, all whatever, hey, yeah, I'm awesome. I have this fancy car. Look at me.
But like just belief in themselves. I think like right. Arrogance is a whole different ballgame. But I'd say like my ex-husband and I, like he really was like just so pursuant. Like he went there, and I was just like in shock because I'd been so used to a different type of, dating tactics, if you will, like the approach, like the classic way. And he was just really, like just consistent in like what he wanted. And so
he wasn't fearful of the loss.
He was just like, I want to be with you.
If you said no, he would have been able to work with that or work through that. And that's the thing, we're not going to die if we get rejected. We're not going to die if someone breaks up with us. We're not going to die when our heart breaks from someone. It's going to hurt like hell, and it might hurt for a long time, but you are going to survive.
And actually, from the pain comes rebirth, comes something usually that you can help you glow later. And Yeah, and especially and I can speak from the workplace scenario, like rejection and it hurts sometimes. I get rejected sales, calls, and I'm like, I slay at this, and then I'm like, wait, you don't want it? Why don't you want it?
It must be a rejection of me.
So I do a whole thing where I'm like, okay, this isn't about me. I said, okay, now's not the time. Let's reevaluate later. So if there's somebody, maybe obviously when you're out in a public space, a restaurant or whatever, you're not going to see that person ever again. So even better way to try. Maybe someone that you're pursuing, a friend or that you have interest in, or a friend of a friend or whoever. Maybe it's just the key is like, okay, it's not right now. Maybe they're in a space of non-dating, or they don't want to go out right now, but I can pursue this later. And
there's so many things that happening.
But just know that confidence is key. Like, look in that mirror, love yourself. It's the self-love thing.
Mm-hmm.
It always comes back to that.
Yeah.
And knowing that you are
and of course easier said
worthy.
than done, because you can't just press the self-love button, but there's work that you can do around it, a lot of work, and I think our podcast speaks to a lot of that work.
Yes.
And I have one last point just on the dating thing, one last tip for people who feel like they're not a great opener in the dating realm. If you maybe try reframing dating as opposed to, because I do believe that we are magnetic. What it is, what we're putting out there, what we get back is very much related to the energy that we're putting out there. So if you're putting out this hungry, I need attention, I need companionship, I need someone energy, it's just people can see that. It just bounces like bing, and you very rarely does anyone find someone when they're like, I need something now.
No.
But if you're going out,
because you don't want to, that's like desperation. You remember the only things
that's not confidence
that you really need in life. And I say this sometimes to a fault. I'm like, I need oxygen and water and the occasional amount of food and sleep. But
That's
you do,
needs,
yes, those are the essentials. And that's like 101, like for survival. But remember, like, you don't need anyone. You need yourself. And
there's a difference between needs and wants and
right.
desires, and you can want or desire someone, but I think what's really helpful here is to reframe when you go out and meet people. I have a client that recently went to this like tantra speed dating thing, and the advice that I gave her, she's nervous, she's super nervous,
of course,
and the nervousness of course is self-created. It's the stories, it's the anxiety, the fear of being hurt in the future. And so what I told her is stop thinking of it as even dating. Think of it as you're just going to meet people and make friends. They're all friends. Like you're just going to get to know people, and everyone is just a friend. And you're not even like going there with the intention of meeting lovers or partners. And if that comes out of it, then holy shit, what a surprise and what a bonus. But if you reframe and take the pressure off of this is real deal dating business, and just make it a friendly experience of just, I'm just trying to gain more friends and get to know people.
How'd it go? Do you know?
It went well. It went well in it. It was one of those things that they had this weird gender thing where the women chose the men that they were interested in. The men had to follow up with them. So it kind of set up for this double rejection, which was really odd to me. And she chose a number of men, and none of the men that she was interested in contacted her. But one of the men that how did that work? One of the men that she wasn't interested in contacting, there was something there that happened. Yeah, it just
like he had her information or something, and she didn't pick him, but he contacted her. Okay,
yeah, there's something, you hand like marbles or something. There's something there. To me, it felt a little odd that it
was like kind of set up to fail a bit.
It was that it was so gendered, and but that's just my own thing with gender, and that's probably made it work better in that way, because it's very much towards heterosexual people. This person's tantra practice,
sure,
and that it was like a double rejection because there's two different options there for, it could feel like that as I'm speaking about rejection. It's not about you, but she put herself out there and then was waiting for them to respond. And I mean, I don't know, I'm like, why wasn't it just open-ended for everyone to have everyone's information? You just followed up with whomever you were interested in,
right? Whoever you connected with.
And like men followed up with women and women followed up with men.
I felt like for me, with dating, living in LA when I was so isolated, dating was never the thing that was difficult. It was making friends, like the actual connections that are deeper, and like going out on a limb. Like I was like, wow, I think I'm a badass. And that almost hurt more than like dating. So I was dating, I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. Like I'm happy. Like, okay, no, like, we're not gonna be life partners. That's fine. Like we're just gonna bang it out and then let's move on with our lives.
And
but then
dating apps for that too.
And they make dating apps. Yeah. So it was easy. But with friends, it was like, oh my God, like is there anybody out there? Anybody?
Well, and that's that same mentality then, like going out to places.
Well, people people flake on people they don't know well a lot of times too, in LA at least.
Especially in LA.
Oh, dude, it was like, it would be disheartening. I'd make an awesome connection with someone and then be like, yeah, phone numbers exchange. And then let's meet up next week and then cancel and then never hear from them again. And I'm like, is it me? It can't be me. I know I'm really cool.
It's not you, Chip. We talked about this.
Right.
It's the non-rejection because they don't even know how awesome
that's
you
when
are.
I did the self-work to realize that I am a badass and I had a lot to offer, and it was their loss.
That's cool. LA, we're happy to have her in Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
You lose. This is one thing I tell myself too in the dating world too. Like when people, and not even just dating with friends, if there's certain people that just decide they're not that into me or something. At first, it's pretty surprising because I'm like, I thought, I walk into a room and just assume that most people like me because I have a lot of self-love. It's not like a cocky thing. It's just, I know that my energy is pretty likable. And when people don't like me, first of all, it can be pretty surprising. But at the end of the day, I just tell myself like, well, they're lost because I'm pretty awesome. And if I didn't have a lot of self-love that I was raised with, that would be a lot more challenging. But if you're able to take that on, very helpful.
It's taken me a while. Like I've always been like the jester, the jokester, the person that's like, yeah, just bring April.
As you've been on this podcast,
like
cracking jokes.
My true self. Yeah. But like slowly, same. Like I've been like, oh, I'm very likable. I was never trying to be like the prettiest or the smartest or the best, in the room. But I always strived for like the love from other people and like getting the appreciation that I thought like I love, but it didn't come from self-love. It came from me trying to search out for other people to love me. And now is a time that I have a lot of self-love and I walk into a room and I assume, most of the people will like me as well. But, it doesn't matter if they don't.
Yeah.
Like I still love myself and I'll go home and be like, you're fucking badass. And some days it's harder than others, but the relationship with yourself is so fucking important. And I can't stress that enough.
Well, and when those days when it's really hard, that's a good moment to look into what do I need to do to take care of myself right now? Like, how am I not taking care of myself?
Right.
Because if your cup is full from you taking care of yourself, a lot of that stuff, other stuff bounces right off of you.
Right.
Right. Tangents. Okay.
No, but it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff.
Really helpful.
We have 2 more questions.
I have 2 more. How much do you have?
I have 1 more.
All right. So 3 more. All right. Elle asks, I have a fetish for incest porn. They had this actually, just so you all know, this was a much longer email with some personal stuff about this person. It's a really, really great question. And I did not include all the other stuff. So this is just the question part. So they have a fetish for incest porn. Now, let me be clear. This has nothing to do with my actual family. My family and I have a great relationship. But for some reason, when I read an erotic story about a father punishing his daughter or a daughter sucking on her mother's breasts, these things really get me going. I feel deep, deep shame about this. Like, is something wrong with me? I think they said, like, is something fucking wrong with me? But I just caught up fucking for some reason. I don't know why. Is something fucking wrong with me?
Thank you.
This shit is seriously fucked with me. Yeah, they're concerned. My girlfriend and I are very open about our sexuality to each other, and I want more than anything to be open to her about this. I feel like I've been lying to her, and that is a horrible feeling. So I suppose I'm writing to you for reassurance, to know I'm not a sick freak that needs help. Also, if I turn out to be a sicko, how should I go about telling her about this? She is very non-judgmental, so I think she will be understanding, but still I'm worried that she will have similar feelings of shame as me. So much shame.
Well, we've talked about the daddy issues so often.
Yeah, I got lots of
and for me, I'll tell you, listener, that it's all good. All good. In the fact that, first of all, you're not sick. We all have these different things going on in our heads. I watch plenty of porn, and
doesn't mean you want it to happen to you.
No, I watch this taxi driver porn all the time. That's this dude.
What's going on?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not trying to get with my taxi driver. No, but I like it for some reason. It's this old
what
man.
What about Uber?
What do you mean?
Would you get with an Uber driver?
No, it's the same thing to me. I'm like, what are you doing? Where are you going with this? Yes, I would. If it's a taxi cab, no. But if it's an Uber, yes.
It's a little more personal.
Yes, it's very personal because I'm in the front seat. But anyway, point being.
Lyft?
So but the point is that like certain things might get you off. And I love I think it's like MILF porn. I watched MILF porn all the days in college. I was like, MILF porn. There was something about old women getting like
MILF porn, by the way, is, like,
nailed by like
30-year-olds.
younger dudes. And I was like, that's hot. And then I also watched like dad's fucking the daughter and the mom's coming home. Like I watched all that shit, and that to me is hot. So if we want to be sick, if you're a sicko, I'm a sicko. I'm with you. I'm with you. But because I think nothing's wrong with it, because I'm not actively trying to like, get in with my dad or my brother. I think these are just like things that
these are just things that turn you on. It's imagery. It's fantasy. So fantasy it doesn't necessarily mean we want it to happen to us. Our minds are brilliantly imaginative. It's so beautiful. I can sit and entertain myself with my mind all the time. In fact, it tells too many stories half the time that I get caught up in that are not helping me. But there's a lot of stuff in there that is not related to what I want to happen here. And I've shared this on past podcasts. I was someone who I don't have any non-consensual sexual trauma from my childhood. I definitely have some trauma from some like shitty sex that I've had that I didn't like speak up to the fact that it didn't feel good. But I had rape fantasies starting at age 10 from seeing a rape scene on a TV show, and I thought it was really arousing, and I was like, this is kind of weird because I definitely don't want that to happen to me, but that was always a thing. Now later in life I understand that I'm really into dominance and submission. And it's not necessary. So it's something. This is really common for people to have thoughts and arousing thoughts and images and fantasies, or like certain porn that turns them on. That isn't something that they want to happen. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not sick. You're not twisted. You're not a freak. In fact, it might make you more normal.
And I feel like sharing it with your partner, it's awesome. Maybe they can tap into that and turn you on with that at some point. I don't know. Like,
yeah, maybe you don't want that. But maybe you do.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But
you can do role play.
You could do role play, and maybe if they're asking you, if your partner's asking you what you're in, what you're into, you don't necessarily need to say incest. It's like I watch incest when it turns me on. It's cool.
And like I say, I play out this like daddy little girl dynamic with my partner, and it's not very not familiar. It's not like my father daddy, but I am sure for some people it brings up a lot. And what I would suggest too, because I have dated people where I told them that I have rape fantasies, and they're like, "There's something wrong with you. That's not normal." And at that time, I wasn't as awesomely empowered as I am. So what I would suggest to, if you have a partner who doesn't get it when you explain that this is just a fantasy, it doesn't mean I want it to actually happen. I just want to be clear with you, like this is just something that turns me on, but I want to share with you to be closer to you, but I don't necessarily want it to happen. And if they don't get it, have them listen to this episode. Send them our way.
Yeah,
like have them, because it's just a lack of education. It's their upbringing and what they've been told, and it is not open-minded or supportive.
Right.
The mind's brilliant. It's beautiful. I love it.
And the moral of that story is it's all good.
Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat, what do you call it?
Consensual sex is good sex.
Yes, but also your spank bank material
is yours.
It's yours.
And it can be anything you want to be.
Right. And there's just, it's okay.
Yeah.
Consensual sex, though, for sure.
All consensual sex is good sex.
And those people that are making the porn are getting paid, hopefully, well. And if that's getting you off, like, you can know that it's consensual for them at some level.
Yeah, hopefully it's consensual.
So, yeah. And they're probably not really related. So let's be real here.
Most likely not.
So that's good. So, question. So this is from W. The subject is, not sure if my girlfriend is connected to me during sex. So this was also a very personal, longer email, and we just sort of cut it down because obviously people like to share their story to kind of get Amy and I on the level of where they're coming from. So some of it might feel a bit disjointed, but the question,
and it's okay for you to share your personal story. We just won't put it on there.
Exactly. Otherwise, our podcast will go from 1 hour to 25, which is it's turning out to be. So, okay. The topic of my message was, I don't feel that she is connected to me during sex because I'm a very emotional guy. And when we're having sex, I like to connect through true eye contact. This is something she seems to have a hard time doing. She closes her eyes a lot during sex. Now, granted, most of the time her eyes are rolling in the back of her head, which I think is really hot, but I would just like to share that intimate eye contact as I am making love to her. This also seems to be the same thing when we're kissing. She closes her eyes a lot, maybe almost all the time when we're kissing. I was just wondering if you two girls could explain to me why that might be the case. Thank you very much.
All right. That's a good question. And communication. This is a conversation
Right.
that needs to happen
And
here.
I think his email at the beginning, this is a newer relationship. He was in a long-term relationship for a while, and he's very connected to this person on all other levels. So yeah, I think asking if that's what you desire from her, and maybe she's going to say, I love to close my eyes, because it's not that she's probably thinking about you or maybe getting in touch with herself, but I'm a half close, half open kind of person. But it's when I close my eyes, it's because I'm in the moment. I'm feeling everything else, kind of heightening my senses, feeling the lips, feeling the body. So I like to close my eyes.
Yeah, closing my eyes helps me to go inside and to feel my body.
And feel your heart space.
My heart and my pussy.
Pussy,
like with someone's touching my pussy and I have my eyes open, it's really hard for me to fully feel everything that's happening there. And with that said, I also understand that eye connection is really big on connection. So you can do kind of a middle ground, you know, the 80-20, right? 80% closed and 20% open, or vice versa, whatever you're into. So I think eyes closed has some important value and eyes open has some important value. So it's just kind of a balance of what works for everyone. And that's just a conversation where you share, and we've talked about this before, the positive reinforcement conversation. And this is a good conversation to have outside of the bedroom. This is like we're sitting at the coffee table, drinking some coffee. We're going for a walk down the street. And hey, there's something I want to talk to you about that's important to me. Is now a good time? And they might say no. And if they say no, then can we set a time for another moment? That would be good. And you want to do it at a time where spirits are high and you're not in a hurry. And whenever that time is, hopefully maybe it's right then, you say something, you speak to the positive, and then you can speak to the critique too. So when I love having sex with you, and what I love even more is if we can make eye contact sometimes. I'm not asking for eye contact all the time. I understand we're not porn stars. But when we lock eyes when we're playing, it feels so, and's better than butts. And when we lock eyes when we're playing, I feel so connected to you. And I would love if we could maybe experiment with a little more of that. Are you open to that? I mean, it's pretty easy, but it's scary. Those conversations can be really scary.
And maybe go over it in your head of how it plays out and kind of use those tools.
It's really the environment, making sure it's the right time to have the conversation. So not doing people are naked and be like, you never open your eyes when we're fucking and it bums me out. You know, it's not.
Which is the easy go-to. Like,
you're triggered.
Yeah. Right, because it triggers
you're
you. And you're like, hey, every time we're making out, you close your eyes. Why? Is it me? Is it me? And you kind of revert back to that like that needy kind of.
Imagine being penetrated or penetrating someone and have the other person look at you and be like, why won't you look at me?
Yeah.
Fucking scary.
Nerd.
Yeah. Outside the bedroom, because it's something you've been thinking about for a while.
And you wrote in, and I think that's the best way to approach it. Like you obviously have this connection with this person.
And that's awesome that you want this connection. That's beautiful.
And opening eyes is all good. I think like you probably just enjoy like the visual, and she probably does too. But I honestly feel like I close my eyes too, so I can tap into myself and feel the moments, and that is very common, I think, for folks to do.
Yeah. It's I think it's a balance.
Because when I open my eyes, I start thinking in my head, I just get so heady, like with all the things, like
it's a lot to take in.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why you can do kind of a little balance there. And that's another thing that porn shows us. Eyes are just open all the time. And it's just like this part of it, this eye candy.
Theater. I mean, it's theater in a way.
It's acting.
Right. Yeah.
And in the Tantra movement, there's the, eye gazing and eye contact. And, but a lot of times that's happening. People aren't moving a lot.
Right.
So, or maybe they're not even having sex. They're just like sitting across from each other. So, and you can incorporate into sex too, but.
So thank you, W, for your question. Now this is the last one.
No, we got one more. I have one more.
No, the last one.
Oh, this is the last one. Yes. I'll get you. Okay, this is a nice long one. This is actually a really good question. It has a number of questions, but this has to do with some trauma too. So this person actually went to the Symbiosis Oregon Eclipse Festival in April, and I taught a workshop there. And then we did a little Q&A circle group, which I don't think that they were there because I don't know who this person is. But they said that they listened to our talk there, and then on their drive home listened to every episode because they probably had a really long drive to get out of there. Every episode on the drive, and that it really helped their lives and changed their lives. And they even bought their first vibrator from purepleasureshop.com from that inspiration, which has really helped them too. And they have some other stuff. So this person, R, we'll call them R. R says, I'm 22 and I've never had sex. I felt shame about that since high school and carried it right into my adult life. I had some trauma with my dad at home, and then more trauma happened in high school. My first sexual experiences weren't consensual, and I kind of shut down. I didn't let anyone in that way, and a few times I've tried and I kind of panic, and I'm at the point I can't tell if it's because of my trauma or insecurity over my lack of sexual experiences. I'm scared I won't be good enough, and that I'll be judged if they hear I've never had sex. It's like this hidden secret, and I'm so fucking sick of feeling shame and like I'm broken. I'm starting to think I'm more ready to meet someone and explore more. But how do I do that in a dating culture where hookups are so casual? Because I need safe space and I need to feel connected with someone. How do I talk about this to someone I've just met or been seeing? I worry that right when I drop the I've never had sex bomb, it instantly becomes serious. You can't have something casual after that, and I worry about scaring men off or of rejection. So how do I talk about this mess that is my sexuality in a way that lets me get to know someone and still decide if I even want anything with them?
I say be proud.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're waiting.
Not the trauma part, but you taking care of yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if someone that you're approaching with this information is going to reject you on that information, that's that person's stuff, because for real.
That's not yours.
No. And that's like awesome. I mean, like whatever, obviously the trauma, I know it's fucking hard. Yeah. Like that's something that you'll hopefully be able to address and kind of grow and build and yourself from. Yeah. Right. But I think I know it's the fear of rejection, which we've heard in a lot of these questions.
So much fear of rejection.
A lot of fear of rejection. And it's okay. I know this world, we're oversexed in this world today with look at from model body image to Tinder hookups,
Mm-hmm.
It's I feel like that because I've only slept with, 4 people. My husband was the 4th person I had slept with.
You slept with more since then.
Well, yeah, now I'm at 14.
Yeah.
But
nice try.
Yeah, but
I'm really proud of you. I was like, yeah,
I know. I had shame in that, that I wasn't very experienced with, and that was me thinking that I wasn't very experienced when in actuality,
you were married and in relationships.
And also who's judging on experience, and who knows, everything that you enter into is your own thing, and no one's setting the rules. You could, if you feel like, you don't want to explore sex, I'm assuming is whatever sex you're into, if it's PIV sex, penis and vagina, or whatever sex you're into, if you're waiting for that moment, that person, fucking wait.
Yeah,
till you're 40, whatever it feels good.
It sounds like what they're saying is that they have the trauma, so it made it so there's a lot of trauma there. A lot of trauma from home to more in high school. So this is something that I think would be really great to address again with a therapist or with someone. You want a therapist. That's actually not coaching business right there. I think that's more of a therapy to go work with the trauma. And then you had some sexual experiences where you just shut down and it was really fearful because you have this other stuff. And so now there's the story that's coming up there. Yeah, and in the dating world, you might meet people that just want to have sex.
Right.
And if you say to someone, and as you get to know them, and you say, I just want to let you know. And so I'm a big proponent of being completely honest of where you're at, because it's going to help to avoid that awkward, uncomfortable thing later. We talk about this all the time in our podcast on transparency, and maybe not the first 5 seconds. Hi, my name is Amy and I'm a virgin.
Right.
Maybe not like that. But as you get to know someone, it's a couple hours in
and
the
maybe
conversation.
don't have to throw in the V.
You don't have to use that word.
You can be like, hey, my name's April, and I actually am waiting for an awesome person to share a sexual experience with.
Yeah, and probably not in
Are
the
you
second
that
sentence.
person? Yeah, no, and not in the second sentence.
Maybe if you want to do that's kind of awesome. So
hey, my name's April, and I'm still an anal virgin.
Yeah, and we're make
and I
a
eat a
name
bunch of
tag
Indian
and a
food.
bumper
Do you want to
sticker.
hang out tonight?
Or or cheese.
Oh no,
She's lactose intolerant, everyone.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry, tangent.
So anyways, yeah, it's tangent hour. So after a couple hours, or maybe you get to know them one night and then you have a conversation. The next time that you hang out, you bring this up, you let them know. I just want to be clear with you. I'm interested in you, first of all. Like, if you're interested in this person, let them know. I'm interested in you. I think that you're really hot, really sexy, really cute, or whatever. However you want to let them know that you're interested. So I'm interested in you, and I want to let you know where I'm at with like my relationship status and my experience here. I am interested. This is true for this person. I'm interested in really getting to know someone and really connecting deeply with them. And I've actually never had sex before. And so sex won't be on the table right away. And I'm not saying that it never will be, but whomever I have sex with, I need to be really, really connected with. And I just want you to know that ahead of time so that we can figure out if we want to continue moving forward. And maybe you butter it up and make it sound a little more sexy than the way I did it, because mine was very serious. But transparency.
Or maybe, you just...
Where are you at? Transparency. Right. This is where I'm at. This is what's important to me. And then I think that I'm interested in you part, like the compliment, the letting them know, like this is where I'm at, and I'll move forward with you. But these are my boundaries. These are my needs. And you might get a couple things. One, you might get the person that's like, oh yeah, totally. I'm totally fine with that. And then they try to pressure you the next day to have sex with them.
Right.
And you have to uphold your boundaries. You say, I told you my boundaries. This is where they're at. If you can't respect them, then I'm going this way. And it's feeling like you can't respect them. So actually I'm going to go this way. Or you might get the person that says, fuck yeah, that's awesome. I love a human who knows their boundaries, who respects their body. And, you don't have to share it's coming from trauma. You can that can come later. You can just share the trauma stories once you really get to know the person, because that is a deeply vulnerable
That's
thing.
also a hard thing to just share in general, even
when you're ready.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but the other stuff, and then you might get a couple different approaches, but always know if it's someone who's like, yeah, I'm actually, or I'm not that interested, or if they all of a sudden just start shunning you, it's just because they just want a bone.
I'd say be proud though. Yeah. Be proud of wear these colors with pride, like it's you, it's who you are, it's your story, and that makes it special, and that makes it yours, and no one else has that story. Whatever it is, and whether it's you're 22 and you've never had sex, or you're, whoever you are, that's your story. You should be proud.
And I know I've met people in their 30s and 40s who have never had sex.
Me too.
And this isn't something you're not abnormal. You're not broken.
Not alone.
No. And in my opinion, you're still really young, and to a certain degree, you're doing it right, because there's fear in there for sure, and you are setting boundaries. You are looking out.
And I don't want to sound like a mom, but please, when you choose a person to experience, sex with, and you're like, obviously the dating world, blah blah blah, but just be protective and safe, because I know safe sex isn't sexy to talk about, but be safe.
Yeah, and that's a good conversation. That's something, again, to have those conversations before you actually have sex. All right, so this is great, because I've never had sex before, so this is something that a lot of conversation, communication, and negotiation should come in. But would be really helpful if it came into play beforehand. What kind of safety protocols are we going to take? What kind of aftercare are we going to take? Are we going to continue seeing each other? What is it going to look like?
And the fact that you're listening to the podcast, you care about, obviously, about self-empowerment and like self-work and creating that kind of relationship dynamic with a person, a partner. That speaks volumes about who you are as a person. Like who this listener is. Like, you're 22 years old, and
awesome.
You're fucking rad.
You're like ahead of the time.
I want to hang out with you. Like, seriously, you're ahead of the game. It's like you're gonna create this like really genuinely authentic relationship with this person that's open, and that you're being transparent. That just shows like how amazing your character is. And yeah, let's hang next time you're in Santa Cruz. If you're everywhere, or anywhere over here.
You come to another one of our workshops someplace and sometime, we would love to meet you.
Love it.
Doing good work. I think we answered all of their questions.
I think we did. So that's great.
Hookups, la 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 la. Yeah, and the other thing I will say, it's your body. You get to decide whatever the fuck you do. And I would have one more comment on that, because I do remember this being a thing. that I remember my girlfriends dealing with it, myself as well, that pressure of that like sex is kind of everything, right? So like, and it gets kind of lost. There's a couple of things that happen there when we make out with someone, and then there's like all these levels, you know, of it. So it's like we make out with someone, it's just kind of expected that maybe a blowjob will happen or sex will happen or whatever, but makeout's not enough. And then, so there's this idea that we're losing the slowness of all of that, like getting to know each other's bodies really slowly. And I know that that's a thing, and it's up to you to make that not a thing for you. So you can say with someone, as you're making out with them, they start to stick their hand down your shirt, you can grab their hand and say, I love that you want to touch my breast, and I'd really just like to make out with you for a while. In fact, for the rest of the night, I'm not really there yet. And you can do that in many different levels. And this is the other thing. God, so many tangents, so many points. The last thing I'll say.
It's important though. It's all important stuff.
The other thing that happens for people often is, once they do one thing, then they feel like it's assumed that thing should always be on the table, or that the next step is what's happening next. So say you're making out and they touch your breast. So the next thing is that someone touches someone's genitals in the next round. That's assumed by a lot of people. It doesn't have to be that way. It's your body. It's your choice. There's no order of operations. It's based on what you want, you desire, and that changes all the time. And you can change your mind in the moment. So maybe in the moment, that first time you decide that you're ready to have sex, and you start, and then you get a big fucking panic attack, you can stop it. You can say, I actually changed my mind. I'm freaking the fuck out right now, and I need to take some time and some breaths on my own. There's no order of operations that applies to everyone. It's always changing. And I'm guilty of living in that mentality that there's like a way it should all happen sometimes.
Oh, I'm the same. I think that's human nature. I think it's
pressure.
And right. And we're too empowered humans on like many levels,
who
but
have
like,
our moments.
who have moments. And I just was thinking when you were saying that, I still do that where, you know, with my partner now, where like he's touching something, I'm like, oh, I should probably like give him a blowjob right now. But I'm like, wait, sometimes it's okay to receive.
Yeah. And sometimes it's okay to have touch that doesn't involve genitals. And just because we've touched genitals doesn't mean we have to touch genitals every time. This is the number one complaint I get. Actually, probably number one. I get 5 million complaints. But for people in long-term relationships, especially women in straight relationships, where now that they've had sex 5 million times, every time we don't make out anymore. We don't just dry hump anymore.
That's a thing for me that's really important. I was actually thinking that today.
Yeah.
So tuned in to Tokyo over here because
Tokyo.
I was like, oh man, like, you know, female ejaculation, yes, but I haven't kissed this person. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Hey, what happened to the old tongue in, tongue out kind of thing? Lick my face.
And that's a good opportunity to do some power play too, right?
Yeah.
Is to kiss them, and the minute they start touching you. I actually did this the other day in a way, but it went a little deeper. Like my partner long story short, like somehow they were like spanking my ass. We were on the way out the door, and I had like my panties off, and they were like, oh yeah, and they grabbed me and like spank my ass. And within like a couple minutes, we were kind of doing like the JTT, like just the tip, and there was like some insertion going on, and I was into it and going with it, but I had this in my head, and we had places to go.
Yeah.
But they were into it, and so I was like, I'm just gonna fuck with them, and so went with it for like 5 or 10 seconds, enjoying it, and then I pulled away. I was like, that's all you get, and just walked over there like, what?
Yeah.
And
there's something empowering about that. That's fucking great.
And it wasn't mean and malicious. It was still playful. It was like, you'll get more. You just don't get it right now.
Yeah.
And I get to decide when you get it. It's my body. What?
I like it. I like all of it.
So much to say.
So much. All the things. All them things.
All the things.
All the days.
All the days. Every day.
So cool. So remember, y'all, if you have questions, definitely write us and let us know, like comments or questions, or, you know, if you have anything that you want us to, you know, kind of dive into. And if we don't know the answers, well, we have a lot of connections and a lot of awesome ways to figure it out.
Bring in speakers, book references, all of the above.
Yes. And you can always write us at shamelesssexpodcast@gmail.com. That's our email address. And then we have our website, shamelesssex.com, that you can download any of our, actually you can just listen. You don't even have to download it onto your computer, you can just listen directly on your computer, or we're on iTunes, obviously. Tell your friend about Shameless Sex. Feel good. Feel no shame in your listening game.
Ooh,
and
that was a good one.
You know what I also thought about? Like, I think our new hashtag should be like, from the boardroom to the bedroom, all your shameless sex has to offer is amazing.
I get it.
Yeah, because I'm in the boardroom, you're in the bedroom.
That's true.
I'm in the bedroom sometimes, but most of the time in the boardroom. Maybe you don't like that as much. She doesn't look as happy.
No, I
as
do
us.
like it. I just like you're in the bedroom a lot.
I'm in the boardroom a lot, or the bedroom? I am?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean,
More than you?
you have a lot of sex.
Oh, yeah.
God, I'm gonna call this episode like a tangent episode.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you every Tuesday, next Tuesday, all the Tuesdays, and ciao for now.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.